There we go.
Can you see the slide?
We can.
Okay. I have to move you so I can see my comments here. Well, thank you for the opportunity for me to come and speak to the club about cybersecurity. I've been in technology for a long time, really too long to tell you how long. Currently, I work as a security engineer for the Navy. I retired from civil service at the end of 2021 and hung out my shingle as Cyber Defense Solutions so that I can keep my brain active and have a sense of accomplishment, at least on some days. Finally, if you have any suggestions for improving this briefing, I would appreciate any input you have. These are the areas that we will review. Along the way, we will have an interactive workshop where we will review some emails that I've been saving for the last few months to see if we can figure out if they are legitimate and to see what we should do with them. Then we will take a final exam to see if I have effectively conveyed my lessons. This presentation should not be considered. Go ahead. Somebody say something. Okay, this presentation should not be considered as all-inclusive since cybersecurity is a rapidly moving target, which changes daily, if not hourly. This presentation should only be considered a starting point or a baseline. You should understand that when you are on the internet, it is like walking down a dark alley in a dangerous neighborhood in Iran or Yemen all alone. If you are not absolutely sure about who you are talking to, you should assume that they want your money or personal information. And in many cases, you are completely exempt from the protection of U.S. law. The last bullet in this slide is the primary theme of this briefing. If someone contacts you and you didn't ask them to, assume that they're trying to rob you in some fashion. Let's talk about personal hygiene. You should review your credit reports every year from all 3 credit reporting agencies. I do it every year on New Year's Day. These are not only used for credit evaluation, but auto insurance and even for my security clearance. Also, make sure that you review your credit card and bank statements every month for unauthorized charges or transfers. As for passwords, make sure you use complex passwords with upper and lowercase numbers and special characters. You may also want to consider using a password management application. Never reuse passwords between different sites. If you do, once the bad guys have figured out your password, they'll be able to access everything. Keep all of your systems up to date. Patch, patch, patch. 85% of the vulnerabilities that are exploited have already been solved. It's just that the patch was never installed. Never take any significant action based on an email, social media, telephone call, or voicemail. If you get an email from anyone asking for you to take action of any kind, be it sending or transferring money or giving out personal information or passing a credit card number, always make an independent verification, such as a telephone call before you grant access to your computer, change your password, or transfer money. A cracker or a malicious actor can subtly change a URL, and it is difficult to catch. One company sued to stop this practice, but the courts ruled that this practice is legal. The average person has 19 passwords. but 1 in 3 don't make them strong enough. The average employee manages nearly 200 passwords. Excuse me. A brute force attack is a combination of characters for a password. There are much more sophisticated ways to hack a password, but this typically is the last resort if nothing else works. If we look at the table, the number of characters, numbers only, lowercase, upper and lowercase, and numbers. Looking in this table, in the purple area, you really don't have a password. The red area, you have a very weak password. You probably want your passwords to be in the orange area. Right now, I think that 12 characters with upper and lower case, numbers and special characters are the sweet spot. It takes about 3,000 years to hack it. As time goes by and computing processors get stronger, this time will reduce drastically. There are 3 factors for authentication: something you know, something you have, and something you are. There is some discussion of a 4th factor, which is something you do, the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you write. But these are kind of hard to capture, and there's a lot of factors that can change it. If you get ill or you hurt your leg or something like that, it kind of makes it moot. Something you have might be a USB device, like up in the upper right-hand corner. It's called a YubiKey, and it has a key in it that you can use for different websites to log in. The Navy gives me a smart card, like a credit card, and it has a key in it, and I use that to log into their network. So that's something you have. Another way they can do that is with this. A lot of the banks now are texting you with a number when you try and log in. That's kind of a combination of something you have and something you know. And it can be beat, but it's a little more difficult. It makes it a lot more secure than if you're just using a password. The Internet of Things consists of devices such as your smart TV, your Ring doorbell, your smart refrigerator, your smart sprinkler system, digital assistant, smart automobile, and so on. These devices may provide a backdoor or gateway into your network. A couple of years ago, a casino lost 10 gigabytes of their high rollers' personal information via a wireless fish tank thermostat installed in their lobby. That is how the hackers got into the network and then downloaded all of that information. Most wireless routers have a second guest network that you can put your IoT devices on, which helps to isolate the IoT devices away from your computers. Always, and I mean always, change default passwords on devices. There is a data recovery URL. It's on the slide that lists the default password for most every device. All the bad guys need to do is figure out what make and model of device you have installed, which is pretty trivial, and then they can try and log in with your default account. This is Hacker 101, and all you have to do is miss one password. Let's talk about email. In general, you should save attachments to your hard drive before opening them. Not all scanners will check email attachments without saving them first. Also, before you click on a link, you should evaluate the source, whether it looks right, and if it is worth potentially getting a virus from opening that link. If I get a link from someone I don't recognize, or the URL just doesn't look right, I never open it. Looking at a kitten video just isn't worth getting hacked or having malware installed. Keep your antivirus software up to date, although Windows Defender is now considered pretty effective within the industry and is automatically updated every day. Let me know if you have any questions about this slide. When you see a link, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Oh, you probably can't. But if you look down at the bottom, that underlined link in blue is the URL of where he wants me to go for my SharePoint. When you hover over that link, you can see that it tells you where you're really going. The underlined link does not necessarily mean where you're going. You should always hover over it and see what the real link that you're going to is, because a lot of times it doesn't match. We're going to try and see some of that in a little bit. All right. I save emails for this purpose. Can you see that?
Not seeing it. There you go. It's coming. There you go. Little tiny.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, your screen's coming up kind of tiny there, but
Put your view on full screen. It I can see it clearly.
oh, I could do a full screen. Okay, sorry about that. I must have a bad one. Bring her back.
All right. Can you see that email?
Yes.
Well, that's from somebody called NRI Digital. Well, my hosting company is Ionis, and they want me to log in to change my change my password or tell them to keep my current password. And you see where it's going? Can you see that? The pop-up?
I over here on the left where it says quite a long address.
Yeah, https://1K5GD.
Right.
Well, if it said Ionis, that's who my hosting people are. So this is obviously taking me somewhere else. But you see that it doesn't even come from the people it was sent from, this NRI Digital. So
I get a lot of
you can,
these.
oh yeah, I get all kinds of them. But the point is, you can hover over and you can see where it's actually taking you. And if it doesn't make sense, don't go there, right? Now here's a guy that wants me to send him $1,400 in Bitcoin because he recorded me at an adult site. Well, I don't go to adult sites and I don't have a camera, so he couldn't really videotape me. You know what I mean? So it's a scam. A lot of people bite on this stuff.
I had one of those recently that was that sort of thing. It gave me my phone number, my address, and a picture on the street of my house. It wasn't. It was a picture of a house nearby, but they get quite elaborate with those things.
Well, yeah, they're getting smarter, and this artificial intelligence is going to make it even easier for them. all that information you can get off the internet. You know, your address, they could pick a picture up from Google Earth. They can get your mail address, your email address, your phone number. So all that stuff's easy to get. Here's one I got from my provider that said a virus was detected. And here's somebody that wants me to sign a document. Came from DocuSign, or it says it came from DocuSign. It actually came from this peonyglobal.com. So I'm going to go to this 1k42f.trk.elasticemail.com. I don't think so. But you see, you understand about hovering now? Did you know about that? Here's somebody that wants me to identify my identity for a sum up account, whatever that is. So, and then actually it's CH, which is probably China. Do you think I should go to that? I guess not.
I get a number on their disguise that say notice of your order being shipped.
I get
And
Did you
then
order something?
and you hover over and then you find out it's one of these same things.
Sure. Well, this one, somebody wants to give me $17 million. And just so you know, if you look down here, you can call WhatsApp. Well, if you use WhatsApp on your cell phone, they can install a virus on your phone. I don't know if you know that or not, but now you do. So this is really my provider, but it says that my authentication is going to expire. Well, I'm the system administrator for that. So I know that's not correct. But let's see where we're going. We're going to is.gd. Who knows what that is? Does everybody know what I'm talking about when I say a URL shortener? A lot of them are bit.ly. You know, that can take you to a malicious site, just so you know. Okay, this one's 2.8 million euros. What do you think? Should I respond to that?
only if you want to lose 2.8 million.
Well, what they do, a lot of these is what they do is they want you to pay them a fee to transfer the money or to do the paperwork or something like that. You transfer the money and never hear from them again. So,
Well, some of them are also just trying to get the hookup to your, the I can't think of the numbers, but anyway, it's your account numbers at your bank.
oh,
And
sure.
just as easy as them shipping to you, they can take it right out.
So this one was kind of interesting as I got this that said that I had filed a complaint with Equifax. And I called Equifax up and they said they never sent me an email. So now they put some kind of monitoring on my account. So that was kind of an interesting one. Oh, this waltmeyer.com wants me to reset my password. And it's going to some place called Engine Labs Tech, PCNVN MVG.fly.dev, somebody's development environment. Same place. So you get the drift of what I'm saying about the emails, right? Does anybody have any questions about that stuff? Nobody serious is going to send you anything on an email. Not the Social Security. They called my wife the other day and said they wanted her Social Security number so they could send her a new card. She hung up. There's all kinds of that stuff going on. Can you see that? You can't see that, can you?
I can.
Oh, you can see the slide?
No,
No,
I'm still seeing the emails.
Oh, are you?
there we go. It's coming back.
How about
There.
now?
There. Went back to the weakest link.
Yes.
Hey, Jim, this is Tom Dines. Question
Hi,
for you.
Tom.
What's your opinion of LifeLock?
LifeLock is a little pricey. They probably do a good service for you, but I'm
What
not. I
is
think it
what is LifeLock?
LifeLock. Well, they're supposed to provide. It's like insurance against having your identity stolen. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, they theoretically uh, go through all of your information and how to, if anything has been changed regarding your, especially your deeds to your property. They check with the credit card or the credit information companies and see what inquiries have been made on your account. Uh, Supposedly, they're supposed to protect you, and if something is discovered and there's some damage, they'll pick up the cost up to, I don't know, up to $1 million. But you know, it just in Jim's right. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean it's probably a good service. I have a lock on all my uh, credit files at all three credit agencies. So if I don't have a credit account with you, you can't do a credit check on me. And if I need to borrow some money or get a loan or something, I can get a pin and I can unlock it for a few days while they do a credit check. But the way it is right now, they can't even do a credit check.
I'm about ready to go back to 2 tin cans and a string.
Yeah, I think Keith's probably with you.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just put this in. This just shows the escalation of all these different scams that are going on. And they've really escalated after 2021. They ramped up and they continue to go up. And a lot of these ransomwares, they cost $2-3 million for every one of them. Personally, I've all but given up on social media. There's just too many malicious things going on. The Chinese are watching me, maybe the Russians. 50 very attractive young women want to be my friend on Facebook, and so on. If you are traveling, always wait until you get home to post on Facebook. Someone posted a picture of us in Budapest the day we arrived and announced we were going on a 14-day river cruise. Now the whole world knew that we were going and our home would be empty for the next 2 weeks. If you are contacted by anyone on Facebook or anywhere else on the internet asking for money, make sure you verify it separately. Don't use the phone number that they give you. Go in the phone book, go on the internet, get the real phone number and call and verify before you transfer money. There's a lot of a lot of people that are acting on a text or a voicemail. And with this artificial intelligence, the voice, the faking of a voice is gotten really good. You can't tell the difference. So if Johnny wants you to transfer $20,000 to him, call him and make sure that he really wants that $20,000.
Might want to watch out for your older relatives too.
That's right. Yeah.
My
Us
dad
old
went
folks.
through that
Yeah.
before he passed away, that he got that attack, and they're a lot more vulnerable. Their mind isn't, sharp, particularly when they're starting to deal with dementia issues, and they can get suckered in real quick. And it was interesting to me that while my dad was going through this, one of the people trying to sucker him out of money, not people, but the political parties were really good about trying to do that too for the older people, playing on their limited abilities.
There's been a couple, I don't know if it's in this brief, but there's been a couple of, one was an attorney, and I read a story this morning about a lady that was contacted by law enforcement. And they were going to help take down some kind of a mafia thing. And the FBI was going to help. And they talked to different agents on the phone and stuff. And they basically let these law enforcement people take like $1 million. And then, of course, once the money was gone, so did all these law enforcement people. They never met anybody in person. It was all done by phone calls. And these people were pretty slick. So, got to be careful. Make sure you verify. If you're not sure, you can always call the sheriff. You can call a friend, call your kids. Just get some verification before you start sending out money and potentially lose your life savings, you know.
Well, it makes me feel better. I have never done Facebook, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, or any of those. I never have trusted them, but I'm sure I'm still vulnerable in a zillion other areas.
Oh, sure. If you're on the internet, you're vulnerable somehow, probably. Another thing you could do is Google yourself and see what's out there. It's difficult to clean up. I might have it in this briefing, how to clean up your search results, how to clean it out of Google. You should only access the internet over a secure network or VPN connection. Does everybody know what a VPN, virtual private network? It's an encrypted connection to a remote site. I use Atlanta, I use DC, but it protects your information if you're on like a hotel network or an airport network or something like that. It's pretty trivial. For about $200 or $300. You can buy the equipment to set up a wireless network complete with websites. And they call it an evil twin network. You connect to that network and it's going to collect all your passwords as you log into the different things. So when you're at an airport or something, you want to connect to the network, make sure you connect into the airport network. Ask one of the employees or something like that. Make sure you're on the right network, and they'll try and trick you and name it pretty close to something else. It might be O'Hare, and they might put an I in there. Now it's a different network. O'Hare with an I. So in general, if you're going to get an app for your phone, you should go to the Android Play Store or the Apple App Store. And then you should understand that they still might have some problems. But if you start getting apps from other places, your chances go way up. If you perform finances on your phone, make sure you understand what your exposure is. If you're using Zelle or Venmo or one of those, call the bank, ask them what happens if somebody steals your money. Same thing if you use an ATM card shopping on the internet. In general, I don't use an ATM card because I don't know what my exposure is. I know if I use a credit card, it's limited to $50. So I would call my bank. One of the ladies that was at one of my sessions did call Zelle, and they told her basically she was on her own. Congress thinks that there's a law that protects people, but it doesn't always happen. Another thing is you should understand that if you get tricked into buying something, like a lot of people want these Apple Pay cards, they trick people into buying Apple Pay cards, and then they send them the code on the back, which allows you to spend the money. Well, if you got tricked into it, then you're probably not going to get your money back. If they stole your money, you might get your money back. But if you got tricked into it and you voluntarily bought that Apple Pay card, they're probably not going to reimburse you. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Hear you fine.
Another thing you might want to consider doing is disabling your push notifications. A push notification is your texts. Like a lot of banks will send you a text with a code, and a push notification is a text that will show up without you being logged into your phone. Okay. So if somebody somehow gets your computer and they have access to your phone, they log in, then they can see that number and get into your account, if that makes sense to you. You should disable those push notifications. Some of the malware that's going into the phones now resides in the memory. They don't put it on your storage. It's in your operational memory. Okay. That way, your virus scan won't find it. Remember, I talked about saving a file to your drive. So some of that malware will stay in your phone until you reboot your phone. So NSA recommends that you switch your phone off and turn it back on at least once a week. And I'll send Jerry this.
Can do that right now.
No, I'm gonna send you this briefing so people can see the URLs. Like these are all URLs down here.
You got to be careful about clicking on those, don't you?
Well, yeah, but these are relatively well known. This is PC World is the first one.
Just teasing.
Yeah. Okay. Automobile relay attacks. You can buy a device on Amazon for $50 that will relay the RF signal from your fob to the car so they could take your car. So Tesla decided to put in a fancy wideband system for their fob, and now it costs $200 to steal a Tesla. So what you can do is you could either put your fob in a metal case, or you put it in the refrigerator, or some way to protect it if you think you're vulnerable to that. I don't think anybody where I live could do that. But another thing they can do, and Jerry might know some things about this. The cars run now on a control area network bus. And one of the interesting articles I read about that was that in a Toyota Corolla, they monitor the headlight with the CAN bus. And they took a headlight out of a Corolla and used that bus to control the car. They unlocked the doors and drove away with it. which I thought was kind of interesting.
Years ago, you used to be able to open a Toyota with a tennis ball, cut a hole in the about the size of a dime in the tennis ball, put it over the lock, pop the tennis ball once, and door open right up.
Yeah.
So people have been figuring out how to steal cars for many years. Keep your insurance up.
Yeah. So most of us don't have kids at home, but you got to make sure that the children understand that there can be bad people on the internet. And if you do have a family and you have children at home, you might want to consider a safe word so that um, if they do get kidnapped, you can talk to them on the phone and ask them for their safe word, find out if it's really the kid or not. I don't think we're going to talk about this, but they have virtual kidnapping now, and they're very good at making you think that they've taken a family member or your spouse or your child. It's really scary. So this is what your information is worth. Your information is put up for bid 747 times a day, and it sold for 117 billion last year. If you're still working, you should institute a security awareness training program. You should stress the importance to your employees of knowing who they're communicating with. I know a lady in Charleston that worked for a company, and they had just hired a new payroll lady, and she got an email from the president of the company, and he asked her to send him the W-2s for the company. So she had sent them, and then she ran into him in the hallway and asked him if he had received the W-2s, and he didn't know what she was talking about. She had only been in a job for a week, so now she was looking for another job. So make sure you know who you're talking to. There's another story about a fellow that got a voicemail from the CEO of the company to transfer $150,000 to an outside account. And he did it based on the voicemail, and it was a fake voicemail. And I read another one that was $500,000 got transferred. So these voice generation AI applications are very, very effective. Many of the new devices, such as smartphones, can be listening devices and can be easily controlled by someone else. In fact, this can occur without you knowing it or there ever having been any physical access to the device. For less than $100, that's $10, your device can be modified so someone can have full access to the device from anywhere on the planet without you knowing. You should never conduct sensitive conversations with any electronic device in the room. And always keep your systems up to date.
Say that would go double for cars nowadays. I see mine has Alexa and Siri both built in.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, anything built after 2008 has got some kind of GPS in it, and it's recording everywhere you go. And I think later in this brief, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. When you get a call, a text, an email, a Facebook message, a voicemail, a fax, maybe even a letter, you should look at it with some scrutiny. With a scam, it is usually out of the blue with no notice. It is always important and very urgent. They will need cash, a credit card number, cryptocurrency, a gift card, or your social security number. Maybe your date of birth or other personal information. And there will always be some kind of consequences if you don't provide it. You're going to be arrested, you're going to be fined, you're going to be sent to jail. A relative is going to suffer some consequences. You're going to lose out on getting rich, or any other kind of story that they can cook up to and including murder or selling a relative into slavery. So here's some suggestions. Don't panic. Take a breath, survey the situation. If your relative is being held hostage, give them a call. If they don't answer, call their family. Call the bank, call the credit union, call the credit card company, and so on. Make sure you get the number to contact them independently. Don't use a number that the kidnapper gives you or the police officer that calls gives you. Go into the phone book and get the real number. Make sure there was a group of prisoners in Oklahoma that had some cell phones, and they took several $million from people calling them up, telling them they were going to get arrested for missing their court date. And if you wanted to talk to the supervisor, the desk sergeant, or anything like that, they would just transfer you to a different prisoner. It worked great. If you don't know what to do, you can call the police. You can call the you can call your police department, you can call the sheriff, call your friend, call children, call someone you trust to see what they think. Resist the urge to react to this crisis and spend some time considering the situation. Everybody probably has seen the QR codes, a little square with the little squiggly lines in it. Those will generally take you to a website, but you need to understand that they can also be used for nefarious purposes. They can take you to a malware site or a fake website to try and get you to enter your username and password, or maybe enter personal information such as a credit card. So make sure you know that that QR code came from a legitimate source. If you're worried about your location and people knowing your location, you can set your applications on your phone to approximate. Most of them set up for precise location, which is within a few feet. Approximate location is within about 100 meters. So most apps you can set that for, depending on how nervous you are. I really don't think that my location is any value, and you may feel the same way, but right now the large cell phone carriers are being fined $208 million for selling your location information to other companies. You may have seen automobile insurance companies that offer a safe driving discount app or device to put in your car. Location, acceleration, and speed information may give these insurers companies information on how safe a driver you are. What you may not realize is that your 2008 newer vehicle may already be reporting that information to your insurance company. Congress did an investigation on this, and they're looking at GM, Honda, and Hyundai for selling this information to this Verisk Analytics, which is a data broker. I'm not going to go through all these. You can go through that later, but when you're shopping on the internet, make sure you have a padlock or an HTTPS up in the navigation bar. You might want to consider a VPN. I use ExpressVPN, which is 5 devices for $100 a year. You should never use a debit card for online transactions unless you have made sure you know what your exposure is. I was going to get a business ATM card years ago, and my lawyer recommended against it because there was no protection on it. And he said they could just beat me up till they got the PIN, take all my money, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I never did get a business ATM card. It's hard to read the years on this, but in 2021, there was 18,378 vulnerabilities found in just that year. Not sure when I updated this. Let's see. As of 15 September 2024, there are now 262,879 vulnerabilities. So you need to make sure that you keep your patches up to date. My estimate is there's about 2.5 million vulnerabilities that have not yet been reported. And some of them are secrets held by nation states so they can use them during war and stuff like that. Or they have auctions. They sell these vulnerabilities to the highest bidder. These are some of the devices that may be listening to you.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
I'm gonna keep this meeting open, but just letting you know that we've reached the end of the hour here. And
Oh, I'm
so,
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. I mean, we'll leave the meeting open here, but I wanted to give people the opportunity if they wanted to ask a couple questions of you.
Sure.
Because some may have to go. So, does anybody have questions there that wants to ask Jim about anything in particular? Are you okay if I share your email with them, Jim? Since you're no longer in the club, they won't have access to it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I'll send you this brief too.
I will put that out there in the message board here, guys. Messenger here.
Yeah, Jim, I'm looking at and listening to everything that's being said and written and in the presentation, and I don't know how an average person would ever keep up with all these uh, checkpoints that, you need to guard against, and it just looks like it's almost impossible.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah.
What do you think, Keith?
I get the chat to come up.
Scares the daylights out of me.
That's what he says every year.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it just so many things that if you have to constantly be on your tiptoes.
I'd like Jerry, you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I have another briefing on scams if you would like me to come back sometime and do that.
Oh,
Good to know.
please.
Good to know.
Yeah, there's some scary ones too.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
it's been a year or so ago that I heard something on the news that Google or somebody was developing a way that if you're on your phone or on your computer with the camera on, that they were trying to read your mind to see what you're looking for, what you're interested in. Have you heard anything about anything like that?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I do know that in about 2010, NSA did a demonstration for us of completely taking over a phone without touching it.
Wow.
It was amazing. They could shoot videos, they could take pictures, they could read the mail, they could listen to phone calls. It was amazing.
I am sure that mine listens because I talk about something to Deb, and then next thing I know, I've got an ad for it on Facebook.
Oh, sure. Well, that's you have an Alexa or one of those things.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying, but I mean, not even there. I mean, I'll be talking somewhere else completely, and I think my phone's doing it.
could be. Yeah, could be.
But
But I don't
I've
know
got
anything about reading
I've got
minds.
everything insured, so I'm kind of hoping that,
I've
Insurance pays off.
I'm sure Amazon listens to me because I get ads from them all the time. But I kind of like it in a way because they're finding what I was looking for that I am. So
Well, they can track you when you do a search on the internet. They can track where you go and what you're looking at.
mhm.
And now Amazon sends like a follow-up email of everything I looked at that day. You sure you don't want to buy this?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I get that quite a bit from them.
if you want, we can um, cut this off, or I can continue if anybody wants to stay.
Quick question. How long is your scam presentation?
Well, if you combine it with this one, it's 2 hours at least. Yeah,
Wow.
Well,
but
it's a good thing I guess you're doing the scam one separate. I get hundreds of scam uh, between texting, emails, phone calls. It's endless. And I try to block them. And, they must have thousands of phone numbers that they can, call back in or text back in. It's
oh,
impossible to block it all.
it costs 18 cents a call to spoof a number.
Well, I'm going to be interested in that scam thing too. So I'm going to look here ahead and get you back here in a couple months. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I think that would be a good thing to do sometime. So,
All right, yeah, that's no problem. Just let me know.
you guys want me to keep this meeting open or should we close it here? Thumbs up with you want me to keep it open for a while?
I've got to run, Jim, but thank you very much. And I am, again, it's really interesting. I appreciate it. And I definitely am looking forward to your scam presentation.
I think Keith wants to go have a drink.
Actually, once I get off here, Debbie and I are hopping in the car and heading to the airport. We're staying overnight at a motel nearby, a hotel nearby, and we got a park and ride thing. So,
Well, I would have to say, Jim, you've renewed concerned thoughts about devices and just general awareness. But when you look at all these factors, there's so much that goes on that you don't even know about.
Sure.
That's as scary as what you might think you know about.
Yeah, and there's something new every day.
Landlines and snail mail. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah. All right. Well, we might as well cut it off, Jerry. And I'm on slide 30. I'll remember next time if you want me to come back and finish this brief, and then we can do the scam if you want.
all right, appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm going to close with number 5 of the 4-way test. Okay, is it fun? We'll catch up with all the rest of you soon. Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Just a
right.
reminder, we don't have a meeting 2 weeks from tonight. Instead, when on the Friday that week, I think that's the 18th or the 19th. Let me look real quick. We're going to do this wine tasting thing. When I get the details from Amanda's husband, I will send them out to you, okay? So we'll catch
Sounds
up with
good.
you then. All right, take care. How do I shut this
Thanks.
off?
Bye.